Hello, I'm Beth the Builder, and I got hired for a handy woman job. Whoa! Okay, so via word of mouth, knowing about my YouTube channel and knowing my mom, somebody asked if I'd be interested in doing a little, job for them. So what it was is they wanted their bathroom walls textured with using some kind of adhesive and then using tissue paper. And I was like, well, that seems pretty straightforward. I've never done that before, but you know, they had all the supplies and they just needed like the labor of someone to do it. So pretty cool. It's like living the dream. So I took some video for it, and then I'll kind of just like walk you through like how that went, because I couldn't find a ton of stuff out there of this particular type of like wall texture. There's lots of ways to texture a wall, and I'm not an expert about it, but now I've done it. Okay, so the supplies I used for this was just like a roller, a little small like 4 or 5 inch one, and then water-based polyacrylic, and then tissue paper. And they had this, I think it was a cool mint color, but you could use whatever color you wanted. Especially if you're gonna paint the wall after you texture it, you just wanna use white or whatever's cheapest. They had everything ready to go, but it was kind of just those two things, the polyacrylic and the tissue paper. It seems like a really cheap way to texture a wall, because that can be kind of expensive and you might need to have more skills if you want a very particular texture. But this was really easy. So they crumpled all the paper as I was going so that I didn't have to like get up and down the ladder. And that was really helpful. And then they had a vision of what they wanted this to be. So what I had looked up and seen, just so I kind of had an idea of what I was getting myself into, it was you crumple all the paper and you tear all the edges, which seems like so time consuming. So they didn't want that. They wanted to just butt the edges up against each other instead of them overlapping, and then you don't have to rip the edges. I was fine with that. Like, it's not my bathroom. You know, everyone can texture and paint and do whatever they want to their bathrooms and make it their own, and I'm totally for that. So if you want to paint your bathroom purple or pink or pick the craziest, wackiest tile in the world or etc., I'm all for it, because that stuff is really just aesthetic things in your home, and overall it's easy to change. So I'm for everyone making their home their own, even if someone else would be like, I don't like that. I was like, well, you don't live here, so you don't have to like it. But this butting up against each other kind of like wallpaper is maybe not the typical way. It is what they wanted, and they said they were really happy with it, so I feel good about it. So initially I started doing larger areas, and because it's a water-based polyacrylic, it started to dry a little bit more quickly than like an oil-based. So I started doing smaller areas, like doing 2 edges, like an L, and then sticking that down, and then using the roller to get the middle and the rest of the edges. And then I actually started just doing a coat on top of it to really get it to stick down with the roller, because that was like working so well. So everything kind of ended up with like 2 coats of the polyacrylic after applying it, which I think was the way to go, because it did seem like it was sticking really well. And then it's really, really like sealed and like, you know, stuck to the walls. It's not gonna go anywhere. And I think that's really important if you're not gonna paint the wall texture after it. So yeah, this was a pretty fun project. I really liked that they were willing to let me film some of it and then talk about it, you know, as a little video. Overall, I think it's a super easy way to texture something. It's pretty forgiving, because tissue paper, you can get tissue paper, you can patch holes or a couple places where it had torn, just because wet tissue paper can be fragile. And I just patched it with little torn pieces. You can't even tell. It tried to be pretty particular because, you know, this is a job somebody asked me to do and they're paying me, so I want it to be good. And they said they were super happy, and it was exactly what they wanted. So I'm like, 2 thumbs up. I'm good, great, awesome. It's kind of like living the dream. I have helped a few people with stuff like this, and it's a learning curve of how to do that. I'm not a professional, but like if you can explain what you want from me, I can tell you like, yeah, I can do that, or let me think about that. So when I initially started like Beth the Builder type stuff, or I wasn't sure what I wanted to do exactly, one of the things was that I was like, I feel like, especially in my area, being a rural Midwest place, it's mostly like old crotchety like handy men who you're going to be calling to do stuff like this. So I get being like potentially like a single lady or a girl and having your own place, and then being like, well, I don't really want to invite this random man into my home. So what are my alternatives? I can do it myself, but I don't have those skills potentially, or it just never gets fixed. Especially if you don't have like a mom or dad or a friend or a significant other who can help you with that stuff. So I really like the idea of like A, encouraging people, women, to go out and do those things, and also B, potentially being an outlet for that people could call me and be like, hey, I need this room painted, or I need this door hung, or I need this wall textured, or I just need like shelves hung or something, like just kind of like some odds and ends, and it being like an alternative of like, oh, you're a woman, so and you understand like what it's like, and you're like doing it, you're like a handy woman. So that was kind of one of my goals, was to like encourage people, all people, not just women, and also to like potentially at some point be skilled enough and feel confident enough in what I know and what I can do to maybe make money in that outlet of going and doing jobs for people. So yeah, I mean, pretty cool. You know, I'm living the dream here, getting to fix things and build things, and also getting paid. Pretty cool. Okay, so definitely be encouraged to like go and paint and texture and do what the heck you want to your walls, because at the end of the day, like none of that stuff is that big of a deal. And it's pretty dang cool to like see a whole room transform just with like paint or like some texture to walls. So yeah, I would say like go and try and do those things. And yeah, handy woman Beth the Builder, coming to a town near you. No, just kidding. I'm gonna stay here. I hope you, yeah, are inspired. Okay, go hire a handy woman. Be a handy woman. Do it. You know, random crotchety old men have been doing it for friggin' ever. So why not you? You can do it. That better inspire the heck out of you, because it's inspiring. Check out all the places below. I have my Etsy shop where you can buy a snarky, fun thing I've made, wood burned or carved. Go follow me on Instagram or Pinterest. I really appreciate everyone like liking and subscribing recently and continuing to watch my stuff. It means a lot to me. So, you know, like, subscribe, keep watching. I'll have a new video out next week, and thanks for watching.